So my name is Benzion Klatzko, and as usual, I tell you that the shiur is sponsored by Shabbat.com. Okay, so go to the site Shabbat.com, and you can find a place for Shabbos to be either a guest or a host. We are here in between Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot. It's been a trying time. It's a difficult time to go through a Rosh Hashanah and a Yom Kippur if you've done it right. And, you know, we could barely catch our breath, and we're out there buying lulavim, buying esrogim, and trying to build our sukkahs. We could build. You know, where's the break? Yom Kippur is over. I want to present to you with an idea. It's not my own idea. The first idea is not my own. It's sort of a Kabbalistic idea. And then I'm going to take that to a much deeper level that you may or may not have heard before. And then we're going to try to tie that in to where we are this time of the year. Life works in two stages, and they're known in Kabbalah as the Or HaRishon and Or HaSheni, the first light and the second light. What is first light and what is second light? I want you to picture marriage. Picture when you went out with a person for the very first time. There was love, perhaps a little infatuation. You saw so much in that person. You fell head over heels for them. I got married at a very young age. And recently as a few weeks ago, I got a letter in the mail from my parents. They had found old papers and notebooks that belonged to myself and my wife when we were very young. And one of those papers, or one of those notebooks, belonged to my wife when she was in 12th grade. And that notebook, her 12th grade notebook, was full of my name. Now, we were engaged at that time, and she had written my name on a notebook perhaps 10,000 times. Benzion Klatzko, Benzion Klatzko, Benzion Klatzko, little hearts, made into a heart. Benzion Klatzko, right? One page after the next, like a whole page. She doesn't do that anymore. You know why? Because we're no longer engaged. That first light, that first love that you had, that disappears. That intense feeling of longing does not last. It's not supposed to last. And then comes marriage, and you've got the daily grind, and you have the bills to pay, and you have the chores to do, and the laundry to clean, and the dishes to clean, and you've got work, and you've got just inertia. It just goes on and on. And then you have to struggle to find love all over again. And you may or may not succeed. But if you do succeed, that is what's known as Or HaSheni, your second light. Now, there's a difference between first light and second light. First light is very intense. It feels dynamic. It feels exciting. It's blinding. It's almost immature. That's one of the hallmarks of first light. And the second hallmark of first light is that it doesn't last. No first light lasts. Those who think that they're going to fall head over heels with somebody and live happily ever after are living in a dream world. There is no happily ever after in that kind of love, because that love is going to disappear. It was never meant to last. Or HaSheni's second light is not as intense. It is more calming. It's a little more soothing. It takes much more work to achieve. It's more incremental until you get to that place of Or HaSheni. It doesn't dazzle you. Not all colorful. But second light has the potential to last a lifetime. That's a concept. Or Harishon, dazzling, bright, exciting, short-lived. Or Hasheni, calm, beautiful, mature, growing slowly, perhaps lasting forever. I'm going to give you another example of Or Harishon or Hasheni. I work in Kiruv Rechokim. And one of the saddest experiences that I have is when I go on a trip to Israel with non-from college students. And I'll explain to you why it's sad. The trip itself is wonderful, it's beautiful, it's happy, it's exciting. You have people getting bar mitzvahs and getting Jewish names for the first time. You have students going to the wall and crying their eyes out. Who knows what they've been through? You know what's sad? What's sad is that they swear up and down that they're going to make a life change. That they're going to be different. That it's going to last. And guess what? It never does. Not after that trip. Not after that event. Second light may come, but first light disappears. The first light, that intense Israel experience, where they swore, they thought, they projected that they are going to be in that place, in that emotional spot for all of eternity. They didn't know, but they couldn't. It was not meant to last. Second light, if they come back to New York, to Los Angeles, to Miami, if they come back and their parents don't want them to keep Shabbat, but they work hard to keep Shabbat. Their parents don't want them to buy a tzniustika skirt, but they make sure to wear a tzniustika skirt, and they fight the good fight, and they do what needs to be done, and they acquire it and make it their own. That's going to last. That could last. That's Or Hasheni. And sometimes they'll say, you know what? I'm doing it, but it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel like it did in Israel. Guess what? It's not supposed to feel like it did in Israel. Something would be wrong if it felt that same way. Because in Israel, it was Or Harishon. It was immature. Now you're acquiring it and you're making it your own. It's more mature. It's less dazzling, but it could last a lifetime. I want to give you another example of this. When Hashem introduced the Luchot HaBrit, the 10 Commandments, to the Jewish people, the first set came down with the Kolos Uvrakim, Anan Kaved Al Ohor, Moshe Yedaber, O Elokim Yanenu B'Kol. There was thunder, there was lightning, there was excitement. Parcha Nishmasam, their very souls jumped out from their bodies. They died. Hashem had to perform Tchias HaMesim not once but twice. What an event. Did it last? Did it last? It didn't last. Right? 40 days later, they were dancing around the Egel Hazav, totally forgetting the second Luchos when they came down. Did they come down with thunder and lightning and excitement? Is that how the second Luchot came down? Second Luchot were brought down so quietly, it was appalling. So quietly. Kol Demama Daka Yishama. Something very quiet. But guess what? We still have them today. They never broke. It still lasts. And the Judaism that it bore lasts till today. First light, dazzling, unique, one of a kind, national revelation, but it's not going to last. And the question is, why does first light disappear and second light last? In order to understand this, I have to give you another dugma, another example of first light, second light. Chazal tell us that when a little child, a little baby is inside of the mother's stomach, a malach is appointed to teach the little baby Kol HaTorah Kula, everything, the entire Torah. And the child learns the whole Torah, and right before the child is born, what happens? the Malach comes and puts his finger on the lips of the baby, and the baby forgets the Torah. The baby forgets it. And then that little baby grows up and has to relearn the entire Torah, line by line, pasuk by pasuk, Rashi by Rashi, Amud Gemara by Amud Gemara, painstakingly going through. Why? Why not just let him remember it? I mean, you appointed a malach. What was the point of appointing a malach if he's going to forget it? What's the point? What's the point? I want to tell you a funny story. I was once speaking to a group of college students, and I was telling them this concept of the child that's born and has the malach put the finger on the lips. And I told them that there was a person, I'm going to put this over here, that there was a person who was born in Yerushalayim a number of years ago, who was born without this mark on his lips. You heard of this story? He was born without the mark on his lips. And he grew up, and when he was a little child already, at the age of 3, 4, and 5, as soon as he began to speak, out of his mouth popped Chumash, Rashi, Gemara, Mishnayos, Rabbi Akiva Eger, Tzosachoshen, Rash, Baritva, Rabbeinu Tam, all from this little baby's mouth. His little baby was a Belzer, was born to a Belzer family. They were Belzer Hasidim. And they brought the little baby to the Belzer Rebbe. And the Belzer Rebbe looked at the little baby and heard him speak and said, I want to tell you, this is not good news for the baby, for this boy. Because so many people are going to look at this boy and are going to be jealous that this little boy is going to be crushed and destroyed through ayin hara. Through the evil eye, people are going to look at him, they're going to be jealous, and this little boy is not going to live a very long life. And the parents got very concerned. What should we do, Rebbe? And the Belzer Rebbe said, if you want, I can make him forget all of his learning. And the parents decided to do that. And according to one version of the story, the Rebbe gave him a little patch on his cheek. According to the other version, the Rebbe, this is Rabbi Aaron Rokech, was a very, very big Talmud Chacham, a tzaddik, and a Baal Mofeh, somebody who was able to do miracles. People were very aware of him. And he put his finger on the baby's mouth, and the baby forgot all of his learning. And today, this little baby is an adult. He is still alive. He still does not have that mark, and he's a regular balabas. He's a regular layman, layperson, not a Talmud Chacham, not a particular Talmud Chacham. So I told this story to some of my college students. And I was telling this story to them in our Sameach in Muncie. And there were a few Bachrim standing around listening to me talk as well. So one of the college students looks at me and says, Rabbi, do you really believe that story? Little baby knows all of Torah. Do you really believe such a thing? And all of a sudden, one of the yeshiva Bachrim who were there turned to this college student and says, that story is a true story. The college student says, yeah, how do you know? And the student says, because he's my uncle. So that put an end to that particular conversation. Why would Hashem teach a little child all of Torah and then make a little child forget it? What's the point? And when we understand this, we'll understand the entire concept of Or Harishon and Or Hasheni. The reason that Hashem allows us to have Or Harishon is because we have a Leiv Shel Basar. We are Basar V'Dam, we are thick. We are full of Gashmiut. There's no room in us for Ruchniut. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu allows us to have Or Harishon as a gift, as a matana. And when Hashem gives us that gift of Or Harishon, it carves a space within us. It hollows out a hole, a kli, a vessel. And it hollows it out for the reason, not in order to hold Or HaRishon, because Or HaRishon has to leave. It hollows it out so that there is room to pour in Or HaSheni. The point of Or HaRishon is to tell you the potential for Or HaSheni. Without us having learned Torah by the Malach, we never would be able to digest, to absorb the Kedusha of Torah. But once it's been in our blood, once that hole has been hollowed out, now we can work hard and the Torah has a place to go. The same thing in relationships. When we know and we see what it means to be deeply and madly in love, so then when life goes on and the grind of day to day begins to take its toll on us, we remember, oh, I remember how in love we were. Let's get back to that place. Don't just be disappointed if you never get back there. You're going to go to a different place entirely. But it's a better place. Or HaRishon doesn't last because you didn't work for it. Or HaSheni you worked very hard for. And that's why it's going to last. That's concept number one. Do we understand this concept? Or HaRishon or HaSheni. There are many examples of Or childbirth is another example. Right, the Or HaRishon, immediate, and then Or HaSheni, as the child grows up, you put in the work, you appreciate them more. It doesn't have that instant love, euphoric feeling. That's concept number one. Now we're going to go deep into this concept. In order to go deep, we have to tell you the following. Or HaRishon, first light, can be divided itself into two parts. And Or HaSheni is also divided into two parts. So altogether, you have 4 parts. And let me give you an example of how these 4 parts work. When I do a Shabbaton for non-religious students, so the first Shabbaton, so we do a Kalbach Minyan Friday night. You know what a Kalbach Minyan is? Right? We sing Shiru Lashem, Sheir Chadash, we dance, we sing, we make a Geshmak, and Lebedik and the Bali Tshuva, we want them to dance with them, let them get into it. So a kid, it's his very first time, and everyone's singing and dancing, and the first thing that he looks at is, he says, well, why are men dancing with each other? We don't realize what a strange concept that is to the secular world. Like, the whole point of dancing is courtship. So guys just dancing in a circle with other guys, it's odd, you know? So you've got this kid, and the very first Shabbaton that he comes to, he's leaning against the wall. It's sort of like this. He leans against the wall, and everyone's dancing, and they're dancing, and he's like trying not to make eye contact with anyone, lest he, God forbid, be pulled into the circle. But guess what? He's gonna be. Because some do-gooder, who it's his third Shabbaton, who knows the whole drill, is dancing and singing, and he pulls him in, come in! And he's like, no. Yeah, come, let's dance. Oh, no! And they try to pull him, and a few times he pulls away, and he's beginning to get annoyed, and you're not sure, should you pull him in, shouldn't you? Maybe he comes in the circle and he's very awkward and he looks around, doesn't know what to do, doesn't know the words, doesn't know the tune. Bunch of guys, does not get it. The second Shabbaton, or perhaps the third Shabbaton that he goes to, that he knows to expect this, he becomes a little bit different. He changes. As soon as the music starts, Mizmar LeDavid, oh, dance time. So he goes in the middle and he's dancing. Yes, you know why it's so great? Because he knows what to do. And when you know what to do, it's much more fun. So now he is dancing with everyone else. He doesn't know the words, that's for sure. But at least he may know some of the tune, and he knows the dance, and he dances his little awkward dance, trying to dance, but it's a lot of fun. And maybe the next few Shabbatonim, he begins to learn the tune, and maybe in a few words, probably now, to know the words by heart is tough, but they do the nanai after they finish the paragraph. So he's dancing along with them, and he really likes it. Is he there yet? He's not there yet. Is he from? Is he Shomer Shabbos? No, not there yet. He just knows how to dance. Okay, let's assume, so that's step number one. That's step number 1 and 2. Step number 1 is he's standing against the wall feeling uncomfortable. Step number 2 is he begins to learn how he's supposed to act. So he dances with them, and he knows the tune, and he's just getting into it. Step number 3 is now that he's learning, he says, you know what? I'm liking this. I want to learn a little more. I want to know more. And eventually, perhaps, maybe he ends up in yeshiva. Maybe he learns more Torah. And maybe he even learns how to read Hebrew. And he continues to go to shul. He continues to daven. But now, he's not going to a Baal Tshuva minyan anymore. He's not part of a Shabbaton. Now he's part of like a regular minyan. Now this is the regular minyan. And you know how the regular minyan davens? And he thinks, what's going on here? And then someone brings him to a Shabbaton, and he sees the new guys dancing and singing all Lebedik, and he's, I don't know, that's how it used to be when I needed that. When I needed that to pull me into Judaism, so then there was a singing and dancing, but I'm already all there. So I don't really need that anymore, so I can go to a normal minyan. And he goes to the normal minyan where there's no dancing and there's not a lot of singing, and that's it. Very, very quick. And that's step number 3. He is an insider now. He doesn't feel like he needs it anymore. Do you know what step number 4 is? Step number 4 is when he begins to realize that he really needed it all along. Really, the singing and the dancing were not a plot. They were not a ploy to get him into Judaism. But beautiful singing and beautiful dancing is a natural reaction to loving Hashem. So he goes back to that Kalbach minyan. He goes back to that singing and dancing. Not as an outsider this time. Not as somebody who is trying to become part of this Baal Tshuva movement. But now he's singing and dancing because he's feeling love for Hashem. Now it's real. This is an example of the 4 steps of authenticity. Step number 1, you're a total outsider. I'm going to give you another example. Going out on a date. First time you go out, you don't know the person, they don't know you. A little bit uncomfortable, a little bit awkward. You're like the person against the wall, just seeing how things play out. You go out a few more times, and you say, you know, this person's really cool. They're really awesome. And you begin to develop feelings for them. And maybe open the door for them. Or maybe you write their name 100 times in your notebook. And you feel lots of love. But that's not the real deal yet. Because there's no commitment. There was no effort. Then comes step number 3. Step number 3 is you make the commitment, but now there's a daily grind. There's no more courtship. You don't have to impress the person. So all of those romantic gestures disappear by the wayside. And then step number 4, if you're lucky. Step number 4, we're past engaged. Step number 3 is you got engaged and married. And then it's in the regular grind. Step number 4 is when you tell yourself, that love that I felt, that love that I had when I was going out with that person, that was puppy love, that was not authentic, it was just infatuation, I didn't know what there was to love about this person. Now it's real. I'm going to get it back. Thank God I'm in a good marriage. And I tell my wife every day that I'm married to her, I realize and appreciate more and more how much I love her. And what that means is that beforehand I didn't really understand what she was all about. When I was married 10 years, I didn't get it. And I'm married 23 years now. So when I was married 20 years, I still didn't get it. every year, every month, every week, and every day, you look at the person and you say, wow, how did I luck out? How did I get to be so fortunate? Baruch Hashem, I was young and stupid. It's true. Didn't know what I was doing. I knew who that person was. I knew the greatness of that person. Hashem knew. Hashem knew what to expect. Those are the 4 steps of authenticity. 2 steps as an outsider, 2 steps as an insider. You know, we live today in a day and age where we get stuck at step number 3. We want to feel like we're part of the community, so we don't want to make a big deal of things. Like, same old, same old. I know what the Pesach Seder is. I know what Sukkot is. I know the grind. You buy your lulav, you buy your esrog, you go to shul, you go home, you clean up after Shabbos. I know it. I'm a good Jew. I live in Flatbush. I live in Queens. I live in Borough Park. I live in Muncie. I live in LA. I know what to do. And that excitement that perhaps a Baal Tshuva has, but the Baal Tshuva may have it at step number 2 without totally understanding why he or she should be so excited, so thrilled. Ashreinu ma tov chalkeinu. You could really feel it. You don't have to get stuck at step number 3. There is a step number 4. You know, I went to Uman this Rosh Hashanah. I'm not a Breslover, and I don't plan on making it a yearly pilgrimage. But I did go. And there were certain things that I saw that got me more excited. And one of the things was that whenever the word Hamelech was said, you know, Hamelech or Hamelech HaKadosh, when they say Hamelech, the word Hamelech, in Uman, everyone breaks out into wild applause, clapping and stomping their feet and whistling and cheering. Hamelech, woo, woo! Did you ever see that in your shul, Hamelech? And I was thinking about it. Yeah. Imagine your king were to be walking down the street. Your king, the one who you love, the one who you revere, the one who has been there for you from cradle to grave. When your king goes by, you're not going to want to scream Hamelech. You're not going to want to stomp and cheer. The Melech is here. Instead, in our shul, it sounds like the executioner is here. Hamelech, you're all going to die. I'm sorry, and I'm so excited about that. Yes, because that's step number 4. That's feeling it like it's real. Another thing I liked very much was when they got up to the words Uvechein Tzadikim. You know, we say Uvechein Tzadikim Yiru v'Yismachu. So again, the way they do it in most shuls, it sounds like they're mourning somebody. Uvechein Tzadikim Yiru v'Yismachu Tisharim Yaloizu V'Chasidim Brina Yogil Valos Atik Patzpiya. No, is that not the nusach? So over there, when they got up to V'chein Tzadikim, and so Tzadikim, Yiru v'Yismachu, they will see and they will rejoice, the whole place breaks out in dancing. And they dance and dance and dance. You can't even stop them. V'chein Tzadikim, Yiru v'Yismachu, v'Yisharim Yalazu, V'Chasidim Ber, Yadrina Yagilu, V'chein Tzadikim, again and again. Step number 4. You know, I was in shul this Yom Kippur. I wasn't in Uman. And I was davening in one of the shuls in Muncie. And I got up to V'chein Tzadikim in the silent Shmoneh Esrei. And I closed my eyes. And I sung the song in my head. I didn't, not out loud, but in my head. And I found myself dancing in place. And then I realized I probably looked freakish dancing like that. And I kept singing it again and again. We have this awesome ability to tap into step number 4 and wear our feelings on our sleeves. Do you know what we are faced with now on Sukkot? Sukkot is step number 4. Step number 1 is the month of Elul. You're an outsider, not feeling it, haven't done tshuva that much this year. you're against the wall, a little bit shy, they can't bring you into the dance. Perhaps come Rosh Hashanah, you already know the drill. We've been blowing shofar every day, so you know what the sound of shofar sounds like. We tell you it's Yontif. Act like it's Yontif. So you go and you try to act like it's Yontif, but it's scary. You're not feeling that relationship with Hashem yet. You don't know if Hashem is going to judge you for good. Only tzaddikim gemurim are judged l'chaim on Rosh Hashanah. The rest of us, if we're beinonim, we have got to wait till Yom Kippur. So Rosh Hashanah, you go through the Yontif drill, but it's only step number 2. You're still an outsider. And then you put in effort. And then you put in more effort. And even more effort. And comes Aser Shemei Tshuva and Yom Kippur. And hopefully you've transcended. Hopefully you're feeling it. Hopefully by the time you got it to Hashem Hu Elokim, you know where you want to be and you feel that relationship with Hashem. And you leave and you break that fast and you feel good about yourself. Says Hashem, that's not enough. That's only step number 3. Yes, you're an insider now. Yes, you're back in the inner circle. But what about that simcha? What about that yontif? What about that happiness? I'm going to give you a second yontif. And this yontif, you're going to be an insider. And I want you to celebrate. I want you to go to Simchas Beis HaShoeva. I want you to have a Simchas Torah. I want you to wear your feelings on your sleeve. The same yontif that you couldn't feel on Rosh Hashanah because you were an outsider, you didn't know. Now you're an insider. Go nuts. Go nuts. Buy a nice wine for yourself. Buy delicious meat and pastrami. Have a beautiful yontif. Decorate your sukkah. You know, one of the reasons that we have a tough time wearing our feeling on our sleeves is because in our heart of hearts, we don't really believe that Hashem loves us and looks at us like tzaddikim. We have been numbed by the news that we hear each and every day, our Frum community in particular. We hear news where people do wrong things. We hear fighting within the Frum community. We hear about dishonesty. We hear even about things I don't even want to get into with men and women and children, all sorts of horrible things. And today, where those things are so available on blogs and they're available on websites, you can literally, with one click, get yourself depressed. Get yourself depressed. It's only one click away. You're from? Yeah? The Hasidim and the money and the dish and the from and the embezzlement, right? And you feel so bad. And you wonder, does it even work? Is Frumkeit working? How can I wear my feelings on my sleeve when I'm so shaky? I don't even know what to feel. I'm here in Queens, and when, you know, I think maybe people used to look at the Frum community and say, wow, how amazing. And now they look at us like, do you want our money? Do you want this? Do you want that? And we're nervous how they look at us. So I want to tell you something. I want to tell you something, dear Yidden. You are very holy. You are very special. Think about the New Year's that you just had versus the New Year that the guy had. Think about it. What was the guy's New Year? A party? A kiss under the doorway? A commitment to lose weight? That's New Year's? That's holiness? Do you know who you are? Do you stop and think for a moment how special you are? You went through a month of Elul, and you went to Shiurim, and you went to Shmuzin, and you wanted to learn, and you wanted to grow, and you worked on your midos. And the week before Rosh Hashanah, you went to Slichus perhaps, so you said Slichus. You said, Tzlach lanu avinu, kirachem av abanim ken tirachem Hashem aleinu. Hashem, you're our Father. If you said, Hashem, you're our Father, again and again, each and every day, you know how special you are? Do you know how unique you are? What people cry their eyes out to Hashem saying, you're my Father, Hashem, I want nothing more than to be close to you. Did you celebrate Rosh Hashanah? Were you there? Did you hear the shofar blow? Did you hear that noise? Did you allow it to penetrate even one of those sounds? Did you shudder and shiver for one moment? Then you're special. Then you're unique. Did you say Hashem Hu Elokim? Did you say Adir Adirenu? Did you dip your apple in the honey to say, Hashem, I want to have a sweet year, and I know that the source of sweetness is from you? If you could say, Hashem, I know it's from you, then you're special. It's so amazing. Did you go to Tashlach? Did you go to that water? Did you empty your pockets? Did you say, Hashem, whatever averos I have done, whatever wrong things I've done, I want to get rid of them because they're stopping our relationship. I'm not able to grow. I love you so much. However I can get rid of them, I'm happy to throw them to the water, to the fish, to the chicken. However I can get rid of money, somehow just take them away from me. They're stopping our connection. If you said that, you're special. You're unique. There's no one like you. Did you go to Aser Shemei Tshuva? Did you have Tzom Gedalia? Did you add on Slichos? The day before Yom Kippur, did you eat extra to be Mekayim Tzom Tishiv Tzom Asiri? Then you're special. You told Hashem, not only is fasting important to you, eating is important to you. What we eat, which brachas we make. Did you say Tefillah Zakah? If you didn't have the chance to say Tefillah Zakah, next year, promise yourself, you're going to come to shul early and say Tefillah Zakah. Tefillah Zakah is right before Kol Nidre. And you know what we say in Tefillah Zakah? We say, Hareini Mochel, I forgive everyone. I forgive everyone. Those who wanted to hurt me, those who didn't want to hurt me, those who badmouthed me. I want to be above that. I don't want anyone to get punished. No one should get punished because of me. How many nations in the world does the entire nation get together and say, I forgive everyone? I forgive everyone. Did such a thing ever exist except for Am Yisrael? Where we got up and say, as one nation, I forgive everyone. Then you're special. Do you know what we say in Tefillah Zakah? Oh, if you gotta read Tefillah Zakah. We say these words. We say, Hashem, Galui v'yadua lefanecha. Hashem, you know that I did not have kavanah to get you angry. When I did what I did wrong this year, I never did it to upset you. I'm weak. I'm a weak person. So I slipped and I fell. But I never wanted to get you angry. That's the furthest thing from my mind. I love you way too much. When I say those words, those are among the most touching words for me all year. Because I know, I hope I'll do teshuvah. But in case I don't, in case I miss out, in case there was something that I did not do teshuvah for, I want to be able to stand lifnei kisei hakavod and tell Hashem, Galui v'yadua, that I never wanted to get you angry. I never did it to get you angry. I always wanted to have closeness to you. But what can I do? I'm a basar v'dam. I'm weak. I slip. I fall. I am a bal taiva. But I always want to be close to you. If you said that, then you're special. Did you fast all Yom Kippur? While the secular world celebrates New Year's by feasting, we celebrate it by fasting. We don't eat. We take off our shoes. We don't do anything. You know, when you come home at night, first night of Yom Kippur, and you know you got to go to davening the next morning, you go home, you can't turn on a light, you can't eat anything, you can't make yourself a coffee. What can you do? Nothing. You go home and go to sleep, right? You walk home humbly with your head down, and you say, Hashem, I forfeit my life to you. Who I am, what I am, means nothing. It's all about you. Were you there on Yom Kippur? Were you there by Ne'ilah when the gates were closing? Did you say Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad with all of your heart? Baruch Shem Kivod Malchusa Lalam Va'ed, Hashem Hu Elokim, 7 times. Did you say it? Were you there? Hashem hu Elokim, Hashem hu Elokim, Hashem, again and again, louder and louder, until you felt like your neshama was going to jump out of your very body. So you're special. Don't listen to these blogs. Don't listen to everyone who wants to knock Am Yisrael. You know what they're trying to do? They're trying to make sure you never reach step number 4. They want you to go through the motions, feel like an insider, and never have any passion. Says Hashem, I need you to reach step number 4. The only reason I'm ever upset at you is because you couldn't reach step number 4. Because you were too embarrassed, you were too shy, you were too ashamed, you were too cool to say that step number 4 is important to you. Don't be too cool for step number 4. That's your second light. That's the light that's going to last. In whatever you do, do it with a zest. Do it with a bren. Do it with your heart. Do it with enthusiasm. Do it with love. Do it with your emotion. You haven't lost out. Sukkot is right now. You can make this the best Sukkot of your life. But you got to tell yourself, I'm not going to be worried about other people. Of course you have to be tzniustik. I'm not telling you to dance on the table. But if you feel a good davening, express it. Do it in your room if you need to. Do it in the Ezra's, not wherever you are, but express it. Feel it. Love it. Own it. I'm going to say one last thing. One of the reasons we can't reach step number 4 is because there's something holding us back. That is something that we need to conquer. Step number 1, 2, and 3, which is first light and the beginning of second light. I can experience first light without the investment. A non-frum person can experience a happy-go-lucky Shabbat. Not so hard. But in order to experience the fullness of spirituality, you have to connect to Hashem. And sometimes we feel like there's one thing that if we would only overcome that one thing, whether it's Shmiras HaLashon, Lashon Hara, whether it's Shmiras Einayim, being careful what we look at, whether it's Ka'as, anger, whether it's Gaiva, whether it's Sheker, whether it's giving tzedakah or being miserly, whatever it is, that one thing, if we were to overcome it, we would be able to walk through those gates and greet Hashem, but we don't. So what happens is, we try to say, you know what? I'm not ready to face. I'm not ready to go through that step. And therefore, I'll live with myself and that flaw. And what we don't realize is, picture a person who needs to go on a highway from point A to point B, and that's the only way to go. You got to go that highway. And in that highway, there are things that are blocking. A tree fell, perhaps, and it's blocking the highway. But there's another road to the right. So he says, you know, I'd rather not go around the tree, so I'll just go down the other road. It's easier. It may be easier, but you're never going to get to where you need to get to. I have a confession to make to you. I went to Uman, and it did not do it for me. I saw some wonderful things, like I told you, the clapping, the dancing. There were some other things that were wonderful, but I did not come back on fire. Maybe because I'm not a Breslover Chassid. Who knows? But that's not really why. And everyone wanted me to come back on fire. The people who were there, they said, "Nu, Benzion, did you feel it? Did you love it? You're going to go back each..." And I smiled, you know. But I couldn't say yeah. And for a while, I thought it had something to do with Uman. And then I was more honest with myself, and I realized it has nothing to do with Uman. It has to do with the fact that there's something that I know I need working on, and I don't want to work on it. And because I don't want to work on it, it's my roadblock. And I cannot connect to what I need to connect to because I'm avoiding it. It's very painful because I did not want to face it. I did not want to work on it. I had plenty of other things to work on. But in my heart of hearts, I knew that's going to be the thing. And that stopped me from connecting. I couldn't get to my step number 4. Baruch Hashem. After Rosh Hashanah, in the middle of Slichas, one day, Hashem opened the right gate for me, and I was able to do what I needed to do to overcome. Al tiftach palasatan. One never says that something is conquered, but I believe that I made great strides in it. And I dread thinking what my Yom Kippur would have been like if I had not attacked that one thing. I know what it would have been like. It would have been very hollow, and I would have struggled to connect, and I would have not connected. It would have been pointless and hopeless. Yom Kippur is not the end. Hoshana Rabbah is more like the end, according to Chassidish Torah, all the way till Hanukkah. But let's assume Hoshana Rabbah. Hoshana Rabbah. So Hashem has given us another week plus. Why did Hashem give us another week? Because Hashem says, for many people, Yom Kippur will be enough to connect. The fasting, the davening all day, that's going to be enough to connect. But for some people, it's not the sadness, it's not the mourning, it's not the tones and incantations and the chazan moaning on and on that's going to do it. For some people, they just have to go out under the stars and dance. For some people, they need that simcha. They need to stand and say, Hashem, not just Hashem Hu Elokim screaming it from the shul, but looking up through the schach of the sukkah and saying, Hashem Hu Elokim. You're the protector and you'll protect me. You're the guide and you'll guide me. You will protect me in your cocoon, in your embrace, in your love, in your womb. And for those people, Hashem says, I'm going to give them another chance. And they will be able to do it through Simchas Torah, through Sukkot, and through Simcha. And Hoshana Rabbah, the very end, Hashem says, here's your last chance. So I beg of each and every one of you, if you feel like you reached a certain point, but you know that there's that one element, that one thing, whether you should be davening a little bit more, or avoiding a little more Lashon Hara, doing a little more Kibbud Av V'Aim, that one thing that you really know, that you said on Yom Kippur you're going to change, but you didn't, it's not crystallized. You didn't really visualize it. It's not right there in front of you changed. It's just vidui peh. Take the next week as your opportunity to face that one thing. And I promise you, you're going to have the sukkahs of your life. You're going to go into sukkah saying, wow, I'm so glad I came to that shir. Because it was just that one thing. And if I had known that I would feel so different after just that one thing, I would have done it before Rosh Hashanah. I would have had a much better Rosh Hashanah and a much better Yom Kippur. If I had known that the payoff is so great, that it feels so good to be rid of this one thing, whatever that one thing is in your life. And then you will get it to step 4. And the Yetzer Hara won't be able to yell at you, and you're so bad, and you're so low, and you're such a faker. Instead, the Yetzer Hara will have nothing to say. And Hashem will take you Taka Sukkah Shloimai, underneath the sukkah of His embrace, of His peace, and you're going to have a wonderful Yom Tov. Thank you very much for coming.